and gentlemen. Welcome once again to a Maple Leafs post-game show on the Toronto Sports Rush Network, brought to you by Bet Rivers. My name is Kyle Andrew. I'm joined once again by lead NHL network analyst E.J. Hradek. EJ, they all feel like playoffs now, don't they? Big 2-1 win by the Leafs tonight.
Yeah, hey, listen, you're absolutely right. Everything is tight now. That was a really tight checking game. Although Colorado is hard to stop. I mean, they have just got so much firepower within their group when you think about McCarr and McKinnon. But for the most part, it was a tight checking game, and in the end, it was a strange shorthanded goal by Steven Lorentz that ended up being the difference. They shot it out. I mean, they looked like they were in trouble, Kyle. They shoot it out. It hit Kelly Sutherland, just inexplicably falls. The puck hits Kelly Sutherland and then just lays there. And Lorenz comes in kind of on a 2-on-1 shorthanded and just rips one past Mackenzie Blackwood. So I don't know what you can do about that. All I know is if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're really happy that it went in your favor, because that's one of those ones when it goes against you, you just shake your head.
It's not like it's such a odd play because it wasn't rifled out of the zone. It's almost like he dove in slow motion, then it bounced towards him, and then it just sat there as this gift. But them's the breaks. What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can say
you're
about it. It just
you're
is what it is.
You're right. You're so right. That's all. That's what it was. It was so weird because Kelly was trying to get out of the way, and you're right. It looked like it was a slow motion dive. You explained it really well. Then it just laid there, and Steven Lorentz, give him credit for identifying that the puck was available there, and he took it and came in, and he made a good shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the Leafs made it held up. I mean, they had some chances at the end into the empty net. I think they took 3 or 4 cracks at the empty net, couldn't hit it. The Colorado Avalanche tried to set up on a couple of different occasions. They won a draw clean on one of those faceoffs and looked like they were going to get a good scoring chance. I think it was really impressive of the way the Leafs were able to kind of kill those last 90 seconds, and having Tanev back in the lineup, big addition, and also McCabe. I thought both those guys were so big. They're going to be the guys in shutdown situations for the most part that Craig Berube is going to lean on.
Yeah, and we have the game summary up on the board again tonight. And something you'd mentioned before, like I'm always harping about the Leafs being outshot against these better teams. Again, a lot of shots from the outside tonight, but they did face 39 shots tonight. We're exactly 1 month away from the start of the playoffs. Is there a number one goaltender now emerging for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, certainly Joseph Wall, he made a statement tonight that, he's ready to go. We will see how things play out down the stretch. I mean, Anthony Stolarz has been very good this season as well. He's got the better save percentage, although Joe Wall's save percentage will go up tonight. I think he stopped 38 of 39 in the game, made a number of big saves. So this is the luxury for Craig Berube. It could be a hard decision, but it'd be nice for him to have both guys playing well, and then you just see how you feel, who you're playing. That would play into this as well, Kyle. Maybe one guy has had more success than another against a particular opponent.
Sure.
So we're coming down the stretch. The Leafs are back in a tie with the Florida Panthers now. The Tampa Bay Lightning are right in the mix. This is going to be, this is going to be nip and tuck to the end, and that'll determine who they play. And then once we know that, we'll see how Wall plays down the stretch. We'll see how Stolarz plays down the stretch, and then Craig Berube will have to make a decision. But I guess it's good to have both guys playing well and have a hard decision to make here, because if both guys were playing poorly or both guys are hurt, then you have a different problem.
Yeah.
So tonight, Joseph Wall was really good, and I think he needed to have a really good performance, because I think I go back over the last several weeks. There's been some tough outings for Joseph Wall, but he was very, very good tonight. And hopefully he's back on track as we go down the stretch here in these last 14 games of the season.
Yeah, I tend to agree with your complete great breakdown of all of that, by the way. I just tend to agree that we don't necessarily have to look at a number one emerging so much as guys getting their reps in the situation will make the decision for Berube, or Berube will ultimately go with one. But they both are completely capable. They flashed brilliance all year. Wall was great tonight. His glove was excellent. It was a playoff style hockey game, and it was one of those ones where the Leafs scored 1.5 goals. Let's call it, and he won the game for them, and that's what they're going to need. And they're
Yeah.
finding a lot of different ways. They found a lot of different ways to lose recently, and now they're finding ways to win again. And everyone thought this was going to be an ultra high scoring affair because that's what these two teams do. And of course, they flip the script and they go two quick
Yep.
special teams goals in the second period, and then beyond that fluke goal, it was it was kind of a shootout, and the goaltenders stole the show.
Yeah, I mean
I
Auston Matthews. Last time I think we talked about the problems for Matthews, right? He was struggling, and now he's got 4 goals in his last 3 games. I think he had 8 shots and 11 shot attempts in the game tonight. He might have got something at the end, so that might have been part of it as well for
right.
him. But this is a team that found a way to win this game tonight. If I'm worrying about anything, I am worrying about the penalty killing. I know that they scored a shorthanded goal. It was fluky, but Kyle, last time we talked, that game with Florida where Bennett was able to get to the inside and score a couple of power play goals. It happened again tonight because there was that power play goal in the game for Nichushkin, and I just think you can't let those type of players get to the middle of the ice, get to the inside. You've got to close that out. If teams are going to
Yeah.
score on the power play, if they're going to get rebound opportunities or they're just going to have screen plays, that's one thing. You can't let those high-end players like a Bennett or like Nichushkin get inside and get those good looks because they're going to finish.
Yeah, they are. I want to go back to Auston Matthews for a second. He's really starting to warm into that old form that we saw him, more complete game, lots of offense. There was a play, he came in real tight, real close, held the puck clean, went high off the crossbar, and he didn't even see it happen. He moved so fast. That specific play reminded me so much of the Auston Matthews we've grown to expect over the last few years. And for all the talk that he's injured this, there's something wrong that the last couple of games, the last couple of nights, he has definitely stepped up and restored the confidence in the fan base in his gameplay.
Yeah, no question. I thought he made a terrific play coming in hard on Kale McCarr in the third period. He was able to take the puck from McCarr, get it in front to Nye, had a really good chance. Blackwood stopped that. And then Matthews had a chance subsequent to that. And Blackwood again came up with a really big save. But I thought that line played very well tonight. Nyes this is another guy. He's a little bit older now. He's had more professional games under his belt at this level. Him playing alongside Marner and Matthews. Those guys made a lot of things happen in the game tonight, I thought. So, that's going to be another plus for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And of course, you have Carlo and you have Lawton who are still trying to find their way and find their spot on the team. I think Carlo is kind of finding that, and Lawton is still kind of a little bit of a work in progress, but he's getting, he'll be asked to do less over time. So, it's really a good win. Now can they get it done tomorrow when they go to New York to play the Rangers? Because all 3 teams are in action tomorrow night. The Panthers are in action. The Lightning are in action. Toronto has the second of a back-to-back in New York. The Rangers just threw up a stinker at home on Tuesday night against the Calgary Flames. They had 13 shots on goal in that game. They lost 2-1. I would suspect, unless they've got things going on within their room that are beyond my comprehension, they're going to be a little bit angry about that performance and play better on Thursday night. So can the Leafs go in there, Kyle, and get the job done? Because these points are all critical, and a win tomorrow night. I mean, Florida is in Columbus to take on the Jackets. They've had some struggles of late. And Tampa Bay's got a tough assignment. They're starting a road trip, and they're in Dallas to take on a really good Stars team. So we'll see if the Leafs can take care of business and build on what they did tonight, was finding a way to win against a really good team.
Yeah, and this is now, with the exception of the other night aside, this is a very tough Rangers team to go and play on the road, go and play in their building, because they too are in the mix. They're in the hunt, and they're fighting for something that we didn't really
Yep.
picture for them earlier in the year. And again, this playoff intensity, 1 month to the day away from the playoffs actually starting. There are the Sharks maybe, but there are no gimmies in this game right now. Sorry, EJ, I'm having some camera difficulty here, but you can probably still hear me. So
That's okay.
they go into New York tomorrow night, and then they're out in Nashville on Saturday. Back in the general area, the Flyers versus the Flyers on next Tuesday, then out in San Jose, and followed by a stop to play the Los Angeles Kings. It's a lot of moving around again for the team, and if fatigue was Auston Matthews' concern, then this is the type of situation that might emerge. But I don't think that's what it is. I just think they're trying to amass points and hope that Florida tanks themselves.
Hey, you know what, Kyle? I was talking about, I'm down at the GM's meetings here in Florida and talking to the different managers, talking to the different executives. And, fans and those of us in the media, we think every single game is the last game. And there's still 14 games left. That means there's still 28 points on the table for the Leafs and for the Florida Panthers. Tampa Bay Lightning have 15 games left and they're 2 points back. So, yeah, you want to amass as many points as you can. You want to win every night if you can. But you're not going to win every night, and they're not going to win every night. Look at the Florida Panthers. I mean, they had a loss in Montreal. They followed that up with a loss against the New York Islanders when they had a lead in the third period. So, it's going to be fun to watch down the stretch. The Leafs have to just try to play well every night. And again, that's why tomorrow night is important. We'll see how they do. If they win, it's great. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. You just get ready to play Nashville after that. And that's a team you really have to beat.
Yeah, it truly is. Their conference is so tight, 1 through 8, or like all the playoff potential teams, the wild card potentials right now. They're so tight. Is there any? We're a month out, but is there a preferred matchup emerging for the Leafs right now?
That's a great question. That is a great question because they'll play the first wild card if they win the division, right? So the first wild card right now would be the Ottawa Senators. And I don't know if that's a preferred matchup because, they just played the Senators not too long ago, and the Senators found a way to beat them. And the Senators will be really loose in a rivalry 7-game series against the Leafs, who will have all the pressure on them in the series against the Ottawa Senators. And the Senators have Linus Ullmark, and when he's playing well, I mean, he can be a difference maker. They've made some additions to their team. I think that's a better team right now than it was earlier in the season or in years gone by. So, I don't think that's a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. And then if they finish in the 2-3 hole, I mean, you've got either the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Florida Panthers. I think of all those, maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning, oddly enough to say, they've had success playing them in the past. They won a series against them, and they seem like, they compete really well against them. Florida has been a difficult team for everybody to beat. So I don't know if you want to play the defending Stanley Cup champions, depending upon what their lineup looked like, right? If Kachuk doesn't get back, if Marchand's not a factor, Ekblad's not going to be part of the first couple of games of the playoffs. So, I mean, the Florida Panthers may have their own challenges, but I don't think there's any paths, Kyle. I guess, I don't have a great answer for you there. I don't think they want to play Ottawa. I don't think they want to play Florida. They don't want to play Tampa either. But, based on the past, maybe that's the best option, but that's no joyride either.
No, it's really, really not. It's baffling for me to say, yeah, maybe but I agree with your assessment. Like maybe they should want to draw Tampa for what?
Yeah, that makes no sense, right? You're right.
What land are we in?
Yeah, it just goes to show you how tough the conference is, how tough it is just to make the playoffs, and then when you're in there, like there's really no easy touches. Even for the Washington Capitals, who've had this amazing year. They finished number 1 in the East. They'll get the second wild card. Let's say it's the Montreal Canadiens right now. Yeah. Canadians are playing really well, and they've got a goalie in Sam Montembeault that can keep them in games. So, I think the Capitals would be a favorite, but, again, these are not going to be easy matchups for anybody. And for the Leafs, they've just got to hope that they're healthy, they're playing well, and whoever they put in goal plays well for them.
So in the second period tonight, we saw a nice power play goal by the Leafs, but then in their power play, which has not been ideal all season long, is suddenly 7th in the NHL for the month of March. So that's heating up a little bit. They immediately give it back when they're killing a penalty. Can you talk a little bit about their special teams play going into the playoffs? Because really, it's so important, and it's been just all over the place on both the PK and the PP all season long.
Well, the potential is there for them to do well on the power play, right? The potential is there. They have Matthews, they have Tavares, they have Marner, they have Nylander. They can choose to put Riley up top. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's a guy that could play. They could maybe try go 5 forwards if they want. I mean, they have options and they have really high-skilled players. So I think from that standpoint, I mean, the potential is there. Whether or not they're going to be able to produce at the right time, I guess we'll have to wait and see. As for the penalty killing, I said earlier, Kyle, my concern really on the penalty killing for the Leafs is just to close down that middle of the ice, is do not allow that play into the low slot. That is too much of a good scoring area. And in big games in recent weeks, we saw it against Florida. We saw it again tonight against Colorado. I mean, if Nichushkin's going to get chances from there, he's going to score as he did tonight. If Bennett or, you name it for the Florida Panthers is in that tight, in that little bumper spot there and going to get a clean look, they're going to have a great chance to score. So that's the thing I would suggest for the penalty killing is they've got to force the teams to go around the outside and really lock down that middle of the ice and do a better job in that low slot area.
Yeah, and I mean, there's absolutely no shame in giving up a power play goal to the Colorado Avalanche. They're an offensive dynamo of a team. I'm struggling on my words. Camera shutting off. Here we are. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave us a comment, folks. Technical difficulties,
yes.
But that's just fine because I thought Johnny Tavares had a pretty good game tonight too, especially in the third period. Good on both ends of the ice. He's been really digging, and he's been an offensive force for them this year. And stuff came out in the media again today talking about, assuming a bit of that leader's mantle going into the playoffs, motivating the boys, keeping them focused. Talk to me about the season he's having again. And we've kind of gone over it so many times, but he just continues to impress.
Well, he's a competitor, right? And I mean, it's been a tricky year. He had the C removed. Auston Matthews is the captain. I think that was something that was overdue to happen anyway. But I think that whatever we think about it, it's hard to know exactly what he feels about it. But he says and does the right things. He leads by example. He competes hard. He was in the battle tonight with Parker Kelly in the second period. He gave him a shot behind the net, and then those two guys got into it. They both ended up getting matching minor penalties. But he's a competitor, and let's face it, John Tavares has been in this league a while. Nothing more than he would want is to make a deep run in the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. I mean, his contract moving forward, that will take care of itself. But I think he's coming. And I think really it's a credit to both him and Mitch Marner. I mean, let's face it. I mean, those are big things in their lives about what's going to happen next for them. And a lot of guys get distracted in those situations. And I think both guys have come to play every single night and played very, very well. And Marner was really terrific again tonight. I thought late on the, when they were killing the 6-on-5, he took the puck and came right out through his crease. I mean, talking about a bold play. I mean, that's one of those ones that if it goes bad, everybody's looking at you. But Mitch Marner is playing really with, I think, a boldness in his game. He's got the great skill. He was up, I think he's at 63 assists for the year now. So, I mean, he's a top 7 scorer in the league. So both of those guys, Kyle, I think this year, they put they put the contract situations on the shelf and they focused on playing. And that's the reason why the Toronto Maple Leafs are sitting here tied for first place in the division right now.
Yeah, and boldness is actually such a great word to use to describe his level of play this year because he's always had a confident game. You don't muster that much offensive production without the confidence, but the boldness to know that he's in a leadership position now, able to make correct decisions. It's just time after time. I'll go with the black screen for now. Time after time, he is just absolutely showing us the full levels of his game. And again, as you say, in a contract time in the city of Toronto, able to bring that type of game to the table. We may be seeing a Leafs team that has matured and has grown enough to battle through the adversity that exists while playing in the city of Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's what it's going to be for them in the playoffs. I mean, we've talked about it, we just talked about who they're going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to play hard opponents no matter who it is. It's going to be a battle. They're going to have all those little things and the things they've been trying to build on all year under Craig Berube of trying to close out games and win tight games. I mean, those are things that they'll be able to lean on when the time comes. Now, you have to have good fortune. You have to stay healthy. Your goalie has to play well. I mean, you saw it tonight in a tight game. There wasn't a better example that I could give you in a tight game where something silly happens that nobody expects. The referee kind of falling inexplicably and the puck hitting him and leading to a scoring chance, which ends up being the game-winning goal. So these are things that happen in close games.
They do.
And so for the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're just going to have to, try to win those games, try to close them out when they have a lead. And on nights in a 7-game series, when it doesn't go your way, you've got to put it behind you quick and get on to the next thing. But as I've said all year long, I think this group, there's something a little bit sturdier about them. They're more of a contender than I've seen Leaf teams in the past, but this is not going to be easy because, for me, just to get out of the first round, for all these teams, forget about the Leafs, for any of these teams, is really the challenge. I think anybody that gets out of this first round, there'll be 8 teams left. I think it'll be wide open.
I agree with you completely. It's a different game out there right now. 1-8 in the playoffs. All these teams are excellent. Any closing thoughts on what we can expect over this last month? We've seen the potential reemergence of some offensive game from Domi now. The Leafs' top guys are all playing like top guys as of this week. Their goaltenders have both had flashes of brilliance all season long. Coaching's been steady. Media pressure's been kind of low by all kinds of standards. It seems like they're primed for a 4-loss first-round exit. Everything's just going way too well right now. What can we expect over this last month?
I don't know if the media pressure is ever low. I mean, by Toronto
lower.
standards, it's maybe, but their Toronto standards are off the wall. So it's a different world. Again, I said it last time. I think Craig Berube, the way that he has handled himself right from training camp and dealing with the media, very matter of fact, I think has been able to set the tempo and set the table a little bit for his team this year. I think they've responded in that way. Down the stretch, I mean, they've got Florida still. They've got they got the game. They got that back-to-back in Florida coming up in April, where they've got the Florida Panthers, and then they go and play the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? That's a tough back-to-back situation where both those teams are going to be rested coming into that game. They get Florida again at home, but that's after that West Coast swing. I'm always a little bit unsure of a team after coming back from a road trip. And so that's usually a tricky, especially coming back from the West Coast. So we'll see how that plays out. But, you can't make excuses, right? Everybody's got challenges to their schedule. We'll see how it goes tomorrow night against the Rangers. But I do expect these 3 teams will come right down to the wire. And, the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning play each other. It's the second to last game for Tampa. It's the last game of the year for the Florida Panthers. Meanwhile, for the Leafs, they finish with the last 2 games at Buffalo and then home for the Red Wings. Those are 2 teams that are likely going to be out of the mix. Buffalo certainly will be, and Detroit likely will be. Maybe those 2 games at the end of the season, make a difference. We'll see. But for now, they can only worry about tomorrow night in New York, and we'll see how it goes.
Should be another good game, EJ. Of course, an absolutely brilliant summary of what we could potentially expect in the last month of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey season before we head into the playoffs. I was joined once again tonight by esteemed NHL analyst from the NHL Network, E.J. Hradek, down in Florida on the heels of the NHL General Managers meeting. Once again, for Toronto Sports Rush, my name is Kyle Andrew. Please subscribe, like the channel, and we've been brought to you by Bet Rivers. And of course, folks, sorry for the technical difficulties tonight. We'll get that sorted out for you. But the Leafs win again, 2-1. Colorado came into town, and Kelly Sutherland, second star of the game tonight. Thanks for watching, folks.